at the start of episode 6, and the reaction was very interesting. So we started off with Brennan and Mulligan talking to Ashley Johnson. Ashley Johnson's paying Vaelus, and asked it what was Vaelus's happiest memory. When Vaelus was most happy, and it was sunny, it was bright, and we saw her brother Athos, and it was a nice little window into how bright and sunny and happy of a person that Vaelus was previously and now has become who they are today. And that is kind of the length and breadth of being an elf and being functionally immortal in this world. Elves don't really seem to have a limit on how old they can get in this world of Ahriman, unlike in D&D where they can live like 250, 500 years abouts. But this is more like Lord of the Rings elves that just kind of endure forever. So that's kind of what we're seeing in the lore of Ahriman is elves can't live forever unless there is a horrible travesty that occurs that kills them. So really fun cold open. Then we move on to the soldiers table, and we don't deviate from the soldiers table after that. So we didn't cut to a different table. What I really loved is now we're seeing multiple moments within these episodes where belief has a great deal of importance. Now, when I say that, the importance of belief factored in immediately to the sword that the gnome made for Thimble. So the gnome took one of the toy swords that he had made for his daughter, refined it, and made a little leather scabbard for it. It is, for all intents and purposes, the size of a greatsword compared to Thimble, but it actually acts as kind of a scimitar mechanically for Thimble as well. It's a +1 scimitar, but then it has something added. He made this sword for his daughter, who was having nightmares and fears about the world, specifically to help fight off nightmares. And something about his enchantments don't usually last, for this particular gnome, this arcanist. But the belief from his daughter, he believes, suffused it with magic and made it permanent. And it causes this little tiny toy soldier sword that he gifted to Thimble from one of his daughters to be a +1 scimitar and to also do extra damage to things that are incorporeal. Things that are typically like wraiths and other like illusionary monsters, things that don't have a physical form, it will do more damage too. And this was a really good example of the lore that we are seeing in Ahriman. This is something, if I had a blog, I'd be writing down all the different rules of Ahriman right now. This is one of them. Belief is super important, and it's kind of interesting timing because we have the show Welcome to Derry having to do with the clown It. And belief very much matters in that book and those novels, in the show as well, where if you believe something enough, it becomes kind of true. And that's how they actually defeat Pennywise and all kinds of other stuff. So it's just it's a nice through line for what is happening in the world of Ahriman. Belief is super important. I want to bring this up because the gods. I suspect now that the gods are not necessarily what everyone thought they were. Because if belief matters in the world of Ahriman that much, that you can cause a sword that a child believes in strongly enough to become enchanted, then what happens when thousands, millions of people worship, say, a human, and suddenly that human becomes a god that calls into question every single god in the world of Ahriman? So if one child can make a scimitar, become magical, and fight incorporeal monsters by belief alone, what can an entire world do for one individual if that individual convinces them they're a god? Enough. Again, Peter Pan similarities for sure. There's a very specific moment when you look at the novel Peter Pan. If you believe in fairies, clap your hands. And this is almost like the first version of, belief crowdfunding in a book. And so in the novel, they're actually trying to encourage the kids who are reading that story or being told that story of Peter Pan to clap their hands to bring Tinkerbell back to life. And it's a remarkable moment, and it is an example of belief having a dramatic effect on creatures. So there is this sense of whimsy, and I think that whimsy isn't just a sense of whimsy, I think, is how the world of Ahriman functions. I don't know that anyone in the world of Ahriman has ever been a god. I now suspect the gods are not what we think they are, just based off that. So, going further, and that's a speculation on my part, of course, but Brennan is, I am very specific, and I will drop lore bits that will not have a functional meaning necessarily until like 3 years later, and I kind of suspect there's a little bit of that going on with everything that Brennan is seeding has a meaning and a thought and a process and a logic to it. So just keep out for that. This sword can also animate toys once per day, kind of like the animate object spell, which is really fun. You can only do it once. He then also handed the party really cool things. He handed them Chanter's eggs, which he bejeweled, had all kinds of different symbols on. And these are basically chicken eggs that have been hollowed out, drained of the yolk, and suffused with magic. They were going to expire in a couple of months, so he gave them to the party. One was a blue egg that can cause people to be unseen, a yellow egg that makes everyone within the vicinity sick when used, and a great multicolored egg, Chanter's egg. And he said, I don't know what's going to happen when you use this egg, but it's going to be beneficial to the group. So that was really fun. And I was just glad that the gnome survived. He was such a kindly old man with 3 daughters, and we were all real scared that this guy was going to die. Now, Tyranny got real weird. There was actually a funny moment in the game also. Sam has a broken finger. He shook hands with Robbie. Robbie kind of squeezed his hand a little bit too much and kind of hurt Sam's hand. Sam also hilariously has a QR code on the bottom of his chalice. That QR code leads you to his American Dolls shoe company that is now competing with Brennan Mulligan's American Doll shoe company, which is pretty funny. So check that out. You can see some of the. You can go to that website right now, and you can also check out that in the cooldown. It's pretty funny. It's very Sam. We'll leave it at that. How about that? So. Other than that, it was interesting in the game. He had them roll a luck check having to do with if they made any encounters with stuff. It's kind of, we have random tables for encounters of things that could happen. So running a luck check is kind of new, and it feels a little dagger-hardy, but I'm not quite sure what was going on there other than that's as a table rule. No reason to really break that down. And if you want to, by the way, we have a goal. Let's see. We've got a goal right now for Super Chats. If we get 10 Super Chats, we'll stream next Friday as well. So trying out the goal system here. You should see it at the top of chat right now for a goal. It doesn't matter what amount at all. It could be 10 cents for all I know. So we had a luck check. Tyranny had this bizarre compulsion to steal something that was valuable to the gnome, and this was kind of heartbreaking, and he determined that it was a knife that his wife was very fond of, and Tyranny just kept on bringing up his dead wife. It's early morning. People were just looking at Tyranny like Tyranny was this cruel and mean, and Tyranny has some type of compulsion, and this compulsion seems to be suffering or basically very much associated with her name, Tyranny. That is her purpose. And it may be that demons, and all demons, have a singular purpose and a function in the world of Ahriman. So we're definitely going to unbubble that. We know that Whitney now is a Pact of the Blade, because you should be, warlock. Doesn't mean that Whitney is a Hexblade warlock, because you don't have to be to get a lot of the benefits of being a warlock with a sword. You can just have Pact of the Blade. So there's nothing specific. I would be surprised if she's anything other than Infernal. If she's Hex, we'll find out later. Yeah, luck check is something that Brennan Mulligan has done before in Dimension 20, I'm being told. So I've got a writer's room here. Everyone in chat is my writer's room. So that always helps. So Tyranny had that compulsion. Robbie had an extremely heated exchange with Whitney as their characters about the knife. And this was really fantastic. Good role playing, and everyone checked in with each other afterwards because his character got very upset. They made their way down the mountain as they left. We did find out that Whitney stole the knife, actually. They go down, and they kind of get into an area of the mountain where it was clear that God had battled on the side of the mountain, or down trees and all kinds of other stuff. Now, this is where there was another exchange where they figured out that Tyranny admitted to stealing the knife and had this horrible vision of how sad the gnome was, and they took part of the knife, the handle. They kind of retconned this and sent it back to the gnome via his wolf companion. Dark One's blessing was used. So okay, yeah, it would be really weird to have a demon who did not have an infernal pact for warlocks. So Pact of the Fiend would be unusual not to have. We got so much to burn through. They went to Hawthorne's Glade, which was really cool. Tyranny took a sword right to the throat. This is a fun exchange. You had a whole bunch of tiny. They actually accidentally went into this. They found a tall pilth stone, and it was pretty funny. Brennan Lee Mulligan said that they're being approached by a giant stone, and that was incorrect. But so a bunch of gnomes flew at them, real hardcore, very Celtic looking, lots of paint. Hey, thanks for the first super chat. We've got. It was very poetic that Tyranny's demonic focus was a knife, because she was twisting the knife by asking about Ulbig's wife, but the way Robbie untied that Gordian knot was gold. Yeah, that was an amazing scene. Super tense. I definitely held my breath. It takes a lot of trust around the table during any role-playing game to have a heated exchange like that. Samil Balisi, thank you so much. And if I butchered the name, I apologize, but thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. That's huge. People who do super chats or who are members, I think people who are members of the actual channel show up on the homepage of my YouTube channel. I think also on videos. So it's pretty bizarre. Not bizarre, it's cool. We got another $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Grim Turd. That's fair. You got me to say it. I prefer Matt's method of determining initiative orders since it favors how easily everyone at the table records it. Minor thing, but definitely more streamlined. They did roll initiative multiple times for combat, so they stuck to that. But what specifically about Matt's initiative order is different? Okay. I'm going to move on. So we had this very kind of Celtic-oriented fairies that attacked. Tior shot off a gun. They tried to kind of do persuasion checks to stop the combat from actually happening. Things were popping off. There's a shambling mound. There's a bunch of fairies. We've got Skinner, one of my favorite creatures in all of lore and D&D. Red caps are insane. They first off, red caps as a fairy. So we have all these other pixies and stuff like that. And we've got a shambling mound. Shambling mounds are like Swamp Thing for all intents and purposes, if you want to think of it like that in terms of what they look like. Or Man Thing from Marvel. Man Thing looks exactly like a shambling mound, by the way. So, and I love shambling mounds. But, so we have one of my favorite creatures. Skinner is he's a red cap. Red caps actually are born out of the blood of a murder victim, and they also soak their hats in blood as well, which is the reason why they have red caps. They look kind of gnomish in D&D, but they typically are more goblin-like in mythology, so you can go either way with that. So Tior actually shoots a guiding bolt on one pixie, and that pixie is so happy to be hit by the light. Honeysuckle gets knocked out and is immediately in death save. So Tior just shoots Honeysuckle right across the room. The red cap ends up attacking. Wakander, we've learned a couple of things about Wakander, and these are things that we suspected, and even in the pre-show that I did last night. Wakander clearly is technically, as a species, an Asmar. He had light explode out of him. He used his religion check to kind of control his inner radiance. This is all very Azamar stuff in terms of a species. But also, it's been very clear multiple times. Sam Riegel said, "I'm totally a cleric as I use this meta magic feature. I'm totally a cleric as I use my innate sorcery feature. These are all sorcerer features. He's a sorcerer. He flat out said he's a sorcerer. He's a divine soul sorcerer. The only thing he didn't say was that he was a divine soul sorcerer. The truth of the matter is, Sam Riegel's character isn't Asmar as a species. He is not a clockwork soul sorcerer. He's a divine soul sorcerer. I'm putting money on it. I'm just saying. He's able to control his radiance. His wings erupted. The light that poured out of him was so intense. The shambling mound grew to like 20 feet tall, and everyone was bathed in light. And I think the shambling mound and someone else started bowing before the light. There was a myconoid that was actually kind of hurt because mushrooms don't love direct sunlight, so he was actually burned. So all of this stuff popped off, and everyone was shocked by the radiance coming off of Sam Riegel. Sam Riegel's character, Wikander. So, Wikander actually recites psalms and stuff like that. Sam has put a lot of effort into the religion of the Candescent Creed. This has been super important to the show, super important to Sam. So he's not just going to abandon all that research and all that world building that he did for his religion. So the fact that his belief in a religion that he has been told by his own family members is fake, and he has the divine blood from a celestial creature, as from his grandfather to his father to him, I think Sam Riegel's character, by belief alone, absent even his bloodline, will make him like a chosen one in terms of like a godlike figure, because wild Megan Kinrick sighting and a dog. I'm thrown off, everybody. It feels weird not to say hello to my wife when she walks by. So, I love you. This is a great example of, again, belief. So Wikander knows his religion is false. He knows that the Candescent Creed isn't real. He knows all these things objectively. But the most important thing is he's still got the power. So it's either within himself or it's within his belief itself. And I think it's manifesting because of Wikander's belief and his unwillingness to let go of the creed. He's like, even if it's false, it means something to him. And so that's what's made this really kind of interesting, is like we're seeing how important belief is. So every once in a while I look at chat and I get distracted. We've got 2 more super chats, so I'm going to go ahead and read those off real quick in the middle of this thought. I appreciate it. Oh, I moved something on accident. Honeysuckle is lucky she got the death saves. Yeah. That was a very powerful guiding bolt, a high rate of damage that could have easily smoked her away. What's with Laura and hags? I don't know. I think Laura loves hags. Everyone loves a hag. I love running hags. And if you're playing a fairy, you're probably going to have an interaction with a hag. But yeah, it was pretty funny to see Laura square off with a hag yet again. There were a lot of sun god references, kind of referencing that the sun god is dead, and the fact that Wikander has this inner light. Maybe Wikander is going to be kind of the replacement god, or an example of how people become gods in the first place. Again, if Wikander can hit like godlike status by convincing people alone, maybe that's proof that the gods were never real to begin with in this world. So that's my theorizing. I think, did I get to that one? Yeah, Honeysuckle was very lucky. Alan Wilkinson, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Doc Broadwater, again with the super chat for what is the deal with Laura and hags is a whole theme. I love hags. I love Feywild stuff. I always think it's really fun. So Wikander can have wings erupt out of his back like in Azumar, and that's going to be interesting moving on. We suspected that was going to happen given the nature of his father. So... Oh, what, am I too quiet? Hold on. Am I louder now? Just checking right now. Can everyone hear me okay? Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, mic is very quiet, but a little bit better. Yeah, just checking on it real quick. How about now? I think that's almost too high. I don't know why that keeps getting reset. I'm moving it back a little bit. It's a little loud, I think. Test 1, 2, 3. Mic check, mic check. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Thanks for letting me know. And now if it's too loud, let me know as well. Because I got way high. All right, so getting back into it. Yeah, Rain Bloom is a myconoid. That's really fun. The myconoid that got burned. Sonbri is an old woman that's about 4 feet tall. But actually, Sonbri is an older woman we find out that is a fawn that had her horns removed, which is super dark. And then we have Sallow. Really evocative description here. Really great hag description. You know, having reeds in her hair coming out of the water. That is Sallow the hag. And then we have so many NPCs here. So many names. Sonri, is the one who, so Sonbri, the old woman, is the one who sends Tior's brother and meets Tior's brother and sends it to the Wraith Tree to die because they're trying to protect themselves. And what we also kind of learn is that the Fae at this glade could have destroyed the Wraith Tree at any time. They're using the Wraith Tree and the existence of this Wraith Tree and the existence of undead in this wood as a means of protection. So, you know, the Feywild, the Fey world has been closed to Fey. So this glade is one of the last places they can hide out. And it's been a benefit to have the undead wandering around this wood as a sense of protection at night from big people. And so they've let the undead live. And they've sent people to this Wraith Tree. This can't be the first time that's happened. And we find out that Tior's brother actually talked to Sonbri specifically to get a sense of what was going to happen in the future. So it's pretty dark stuff. Using the undead to protect the Feywild as kind of a moat, right? This glade is a little dark. It's a little gray area for the Fey creatures. So, yeah, Sonbri also had a vision of irons, of him being in irons and wagon wheels, of him holding a scroll, wide fields, rolling hills, and the fluttering of crow wings. I watched this a couple of times. So, and then we also find out another fairy that was hit. Jaffe the fairy? I might have this wrong. Was off to see Fang and to deliver a note and finds out from Tior that Thyazi is in fact dead. So, and again, it's been 2 days. So now it's been about 3 days since Thyazi Fang has died, which is just wild to me. So, and he was aware of Thyazi, and he was and Thimble through the Arcanaut Museum. So we have lots of interactions happening. Jaffe the owl, yeah, Jaffe had the weird owl kind of form. I love that because I kind of want to play a fairy that is part crow or raven or full raven. I just want to play a raven or a crow in D&D. I'm weird that way. So, the hag makes a deal to tell Thimble what is going on with Casimir and Thyazi by giving up one of Thimble's memories. And this is really lovely because Laura didn't necessarily know why her character Thimble called Thyazi just Thaz, and they kind of get into it. They're like, give me one of your memories. And she remembers being taught to learn how to read and write through Thyazi, and that Thiazi, she had trouble writing the J or in the name, and gave up and just started calling him Thiazi or saying it, and so that's how she ended up calling him that name. And then that memory was eaten, slurped up by the hag as payment for knowing future information about what was going on. So there's kind of this vision of Casimir being paid off to betray Thiazi, and him saying he was glad that Thiazi was going to die, him getting the gold, him getting the title. We don't know who's talking to Thiazi off camera, basically, in this memory. We don't get that type of information, but that's going to be a drop later on to find out who was paying off Casimir. We learn about the corpse of the awake. We go to the awakened tree that is now a corpse. That is essentially, they're heading over there to make sure his brother didn't die, Tor's brother isn't dead. We find out that Robbie has an atlatl, which I should have known because I know a lot about atlatls, and I should have known that the club-like item in his art was an atlatl. Atlatls are really hard to use. I can only describe it as it almost looks like a curved club. You insert basically this kind of javelin-like spear item into it, and then you huck it to throw that spear at like game. And this is like the most, I wouldn't say it's the most efficient weapon ever made. It's wild that anyone even invented it or used it, but human beings did. The bow is so much better, throwing an axe is better, but the atlatl is like the most finicky, primitive weapon I think that's ever existed. It's a wild, weird weapon. I invite you to go onto YouTube, look up atlatls. It's just so hard to use. I cannot stress this enough. I've spent a lot of time thinking and working with atlatls. They're like the least efficient weapon ever, but they literally use them to like down big game because they do get you a little bit of weight and pressure through a spear. But I don't know if it's that efficient. So they get there. This is a very like an easily killable moment because this, and Brennan kind of mentions this in the cooldown. They are attacked by a wraith as well as a bunch of zombies. Wikander uses his innate sorcery, casts color spray, blinds a couple of the zombies. Fairy fire gets popped off by Thimble ahead of this. Doesn't affect the wraith, but affects a couple of the zombies as well. There's this joke about, Thimble, do you just call it fire instead of fairy fire because you're a fairy? The constant jokes about using, Sam joking about using a cleric ability that is clearly a sorceress ability, and he's kind of like, he knows his back is up against the wall. So we do find out they do end up just, Thimble just rushes right in, shoves her blade into the eye of the wraith. Fireworks kind of explode out of that eye. We find out that Thimble's sword is powerful against incorporeal creatures. They attack the wraith multiple times. The wraith could have hit any one of them and probably downed one of them. Could have easily killed Sam Riegel's character, but kept on missing and got like a natural one-on-one roll. So this could have been a lethal kind of combat, especially with the number of zombies. But they downed the wraith rather quickly. Had a lot of zombies to fight. Knocked a few of those down, but then there was a horde of more zombies coming from the rest of the forest, like tiny little squirrels, other small humans, and other creatures running at them. And Thimble grabbed oil and tinder and something to ignite the oil with from Robbie's character, and then ran over to the awakened tree and then doused it and set it on fire. And they saw various they found a rune inside not only the wraith but also inside the tree, and this tree is a portal to the Shadowfell, to the not the Shadowfell but the world of the undead. And when they kill the wraith goes back into it, and he keeps on stressing that the barriers between the land of the dead and the land of the living are stretched thin because there are so many dead not going to an afterlife that the barrier is thin everywhere. You can think of it like a membrane, and adding the wraith to that made it even worse. So we're kind of building the sense of this interplanar, like there's this wall in the universe and it's being stretched thin, and one day all the undead may come back to life. So there's something very creepy happening there. And we did find out the Wraith was a former cleric of the Sun God. And for some reason, Tayor's holy symbol also started burning after having that encounter with the Wraith. And that's kind of where we find ourselves. So we have a lot of confirmations as to the nature of Wakander. We have being a divine soul sorcerer, really, and an Aasimar. And we have a lot of interesting things that we found out about faith being extremely important in the world of Ahriman. I increasingly suspect that the barrier between the dead and the living will break down, and the undead will walk the earth again, or the world of Ahriman. And I suspect belief is what's responsible for the gods even having power or having any type of magic. That Sam Riegel's character, as he levels up, will level up not because of his skill with what he's doing, but with his belief in himself and with other people's belief in him as well. So I think as time goes on in this show for the next 3 years, we'll continue to see Wakander gain more and more followers and cultists, and his power will increase. So his leveling up may not be a matter of skill as much as a matter of belief, even though it's innate within him. Todd Kenrick, did we learn that the cleric was a son? I think we learned that the cleric worshipped the sun god, yes. I thought it was the sun symbol that the Wraith was wearing. That might have been mentioned in the cooldown or in the show itself. I suspect if it's between the land of the living and the land of the dead, you're right. It could be... I mean, I think it's angry undead. I'm not sure. So it certainly feels extremely creepy the way that Brennan Mulligan is kind of talking about it. But yeah, I do think Wakander is going to become some kind of messianic figure in this show. Yeah. So the sun god got mentioned several times. And again, it was mentioned like, hey, there's no sun god, but the sun is still shining, so what does it matter? So, yeah, that might have been information that popped up in the cooldown, for sure. Whitney Moore was being very quiet about some interesting insights into her character, Tyranny, and I'm glad she didn't spoil it. It's hard sometimes at the end of the show. Sometimes people want to know what's actually going on. Yeah, I think the barrier between the land of the living and the land of the dead will tear, and we will still see spillage into the real world, and that will be a catastrophic event, I suspect. So that's it. That's kind of my really fast, rapid, semi-rapid fire kind of breakdown and reaction to the show. I thought it was really fun, really well acted. We had a lot of trust at the table. Again, Whitney Moore and Sam Riegel, absolutely hilarious. Enjoying those interactions. I loved all the fairy creatures. So many NPCs. I don't know that I think this is the most NPC name heavy episode that we've had so far to keep track of. That was wild. Every fairy had a name. So that was pretty crazy. But let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. We've got links to couple of videos of ours, interviews with the Mighty Nine cast. The first episode dropped on YouTube actually as a teaser, but we've got some great interviews with the Critical Role cast. Also, click on the links that you see to stream start playing. You can actually get a $10 credit towards your first game of playing Daggerheart D&D. That's if you don't click on the link, that's just leaving money on the table. And then Chipeku Maps has this really great system for creating new maps. It takes you 5 seconds. There's a demo of it. If you click the link and you check out their demo, it's ridiculous. You could barely know how to open a web page and be able to use this. You just drag and drop, literally. It's easier than using real physical terrain. That's how weird it is. Yeah, Brennan's going full Tolkien on these NPCs. I do recommend, as a game master, if you are game mastering, be kind to yourself and write a whole bunch of NPC names ahead of time, because people are going to ask and they're going to get obsessed with your NPCs. And I am bad at making up names. So, you know, it's a really dense episode when it takes me 40 minutes to just recap it. That's exhausting. My tongue hurts. That was a lot. I love the interactions with the hag, and I really liked about Sallow the hag is people forget the Fae have a dark side as well, because in D&D we have the Shadowfell and we have the Feywild, and I talk at length with Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins about this often. Is that the Shadowfell is like repetition. There's lots of undead. It's gray. It's muted. There's not a lot of color. It's like the worst. It's like rated R. It's like the most muted, dark, gothic version of Halloween. And the other side of Halloween is kind of the heightened, so much candy, your heart is racing, strange fawn-like creatures. Like, Fae can be horrifying. Fae can be very, like, cute and fun, but Fae can also be goblins and trolls and hags and, scarecrows carving people up. Like, the Feywild has a dark side and a good side. And it can be both absolute horror and absolute madness, and then also comfort and kindness. It's I love the Feywild, and I'd argue I like it more than the Shadowfell. I love Ravenloft as a setting, but like redcaps are crazy. Redcaps are absolutely dangerous. Goblins are Fey, so I mean, it'd be funny if all the gods were trickster gods. Thank you, Scott Fisher, for the $4 cup of coffee. I think it's a gift. It's a gift. Yeah, you can send people gifts now on YouTube. Thank you so much. That stuff really helps support the stream. There's no revenue on YouTube, so if you're sending gifts, if you're doing super chats, if you're liking, subscribing, all that helps keep us doing this stuff. I do have some surprises next week that I can't talk about, but because of Patreon and because the people who show up in this chat and watch our other YouTube videos, we're able to actually break even and go to some locations to do some research gathering. So do some interview gathering and stuff. So I appreciate everyone in chat. That stuff really helps. That's huge. Kenrick, Sallow felt atypical for a hag. She was pretty straightforward, while I felt like most of the hags were more manipulative. Sallow was here and the deal to take it or leave it. Yeah, Sallow was less manipulative for sure, and hags don't always have to be lying. They can be very clear-cut with what they are telling you you're getting out of it. Like a hag, yeah, it was definitely a different hag. Like some hags can be like, surprise, I lied to you, and that's certainly a thing the hags will do. I don't trust a hag in any situation. But it doesn't mean a hag can't be straightforward. And I think it's important to not humanize hags, but I like a hag telling you, I am Fae also. I have a place here. I think that was a fun moment as well. So you can play hags however you want. But I love the deal-making energy from a hag. After this episode, I'm pretty tempted to watch Pan's Labyrinth, actually. Because I got the Feywild on the brain. I'd like it was kind of horrific to see the fawn having its, knowing that the fawn had its horns removed. So now we've left that glade. We've now destroyed the tree. I wonder what the fallout is going to be for destroying that tree. They didn't have much choice, otherwise they would have died. It would have been interesting if they did have the choice to leave up the Wraith tree, because that would have meant the undead continued to persist and continued to protect the Fey folk, basically at night, as a barrier at night, because that's what the Fey creatures were using to kind of protect themselves. And now that protection is not there at night anymore. So I wonder if there's going to be fallout. Will the glade now be in danger because the Wraith tree has been destroyed? Yeah, Laurel loves making deals with hags. Comes up a lot. I mean, more frequently than one would expect, I guess. That's twice. Twice is a line. If it happens next 6 years from now, that's a pattern. So, it was pretty succinct how we ended, because now we know they're going to move on and continue. We know also, we've confirmed that Teor's brother is not in fact dead. They did check amongst the undead to make sure he was not gone or amongst them. So I wonder if we're going to catch up to him next episode. We potentially might. No, Thimble didn't lose. No, I don't think they would have done that. Thimble didn't lose the ability to read and write, just the memory of who taught her and the experience of learning to read or write. So I don't think Laura lost an ability to do anything. She just lost a very fond memory of her best friend. What do you think Tyranny's knife is? I'm not sure right now. I mean, it's going to become her hexblade. Todd Kenrick, I hope Robbie learns how the new battle, the Beastmaster works, since he can use a bonus action for Wulfric. You can... I'll have to look back at the Beastmaster, actually. She might still call him Thaz. She just won't remember why she calls him Thaz. So she may not even lose that. Yeah, I can see Octus becoming the Shepherd of the Dead and becoming the new Death God. I mean, this... Yeah, the vibe is, these are the new gods. You know, out of this group of people that we are following in Ahriman, they may end up becoming the new gods of this realm. At the end of 3 years, they all may ascend to becoming these archetypical godlike beings within the world, 100%. And some of them may die. Some of them may not get that far. We'll have to see. And again, we don't know all what Thiazi was up to, but that other fairy also mentioned that he was collecting artifacts. I feel like Thiazi has a long game, having to do with gods and having to do with the underworld. And... you know, the guy got hung, but I'm really suspicious. I'm suspicious about who paid off Casimir, and I'm suspicious about Thiazi and if he's really good as he sounds. I feel like this is a Kaiser associated long game happening that he set in motion himself. Yeah, Kattigan can tell her the story. I have no idea what's in that letter to Thiazi. I don't have any idea. I'm lost. I'm sure that will be the opening for the next episode. I don't even know if Thiazi is dead. I think too much is riding on Thiazi's execution for there not to be a mic drop somewhere. Yeah. I think Thiazi may have found some bizarre loophole with death. And that's why he seemed relatively unafraid. And the public spectacle of him being hung has set things in motion. Just reading chat right now. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats. That's so helpful. I really appreciate it. And the gifts as well. That's massive. We also have a Patreon page that helps support videos like this if you prefer a system like that. I am now doing also pre-shows. Before, I've been wanting to do that. I kind of mentioned it a month and a half ago. God, I can't believe we've had that many episodes. A month and a half ago about doing pre-shows. So I started doing that. That's been a really fun time to hang out with everybody right before a show and kind of also recap and what we know and what we expect. Kind of a warm-up right before the show begins. So look for that on Thursdays right before Critical Role. It's a fun time. I had a great time last night. Obviously, that video doesn't have any worth the second Critical Role's episode begins, so it's a very weird kind of live stream where the VOD isn't really that important. But I'll probably start making those unlisted so they don't show up in search and people are like, what the heck is this video? Yeah, Thiazi, I mean, this is hard. If Thiazi turns out to be evil, that's going to be a bummer to some degree. We do need good things and good people in this world. And that's important. Like, not having the gnome die was important. You want something to work for and to strive for. If Thiazi did turn out to be evil, or maybe grows to be evil. If Thiazi grew to be evil, that's interesting. But he had to have been a good person at some point. But when you have a character that has increasingly a legendary status amongst the people who loved him and also the people who hated him, and he gets brought up every episode, you kind of wonder if this is the villain. Because this person's being built up so much. Someone's talking about that, how has it been since you started doing this? It's been great. I love talking to people in chat. I like covering Critical Role. It's not something I was really afforded to do. I mean, a lot. Certainly, I've been interviewing the Critical Role cast, Matt Mercer, since Campaign 1. Early days. And then, yeah, like I said, I was actually at the finale for Campaign 1 in the studio when all that stuff went down. It's actually the episode before the last one, but it was the one where all the stuff pops off with Vecna. I was actually physically there to interview people before the show and before the end of the campaign. Some really nice emotional interviews on D&D Beyond. I'm one of the founding members of D&D Beyond. Oh, well, most of my predictions are the same in these chats. So if I'm wrong about something, I will call it out for sure. Don't worry, I will hold myself accountable. Hello from Southern Philippines. That's crazy. Yeah, I did all the interviews with the Critical Role cast. Yeah. Yep, a bunch of those are on D&D Beyond, and some interviews I think ended up on the D&D channel with me and Matt Mercer. And I've got a bunch of Critical Role interviews right now. Some fresh ones about the Mighty Nine on my YouTube channel. Ooh. I don't know why it is filtering. 1 second. Weird. Okay. So, do we have any other theories as to what's going to go on in the next few episodes, chat? This was a dense episode. My brain's a little melted. I think that's definitely that's potentially a record for the most amount of NPCs. Seeing this animated in like 4 or 5 years will be pretty cool. Ted Kenrick, speaking of animation, have you heard Cradle Animatic? No, I have not. I've not heard of that. So, I guess this was a great example, and actually, Robbie kind of hit this home as well. This was a really good episode for the chemistry of the cast and for everyone demonstrating their friendship, the friction between them, and making choices that were based off their characters and not necessarily party cohesion or logic. Every character in this game for Campaign 4 has a very unique perspective, and and as he mentioned, it's kind of scary because someone's going to do something that isn't good for the group because they're just doing it in character, and that's great. And that takes a lot of trust, and I think there's great moments in previous Critical Role history. One of my favorite moments ever is Liam O'Brien playing Caleb. not being willing to not take scrolls and magical items from a room, even though he knows the goal is not to alert anyone to their presence in this location, because he's compelled to do so. So I love these moments where characters are tempted so badly to do the suboptimal thing. I think is always great. Yeah, it's a good question. When do I think the Soldiers Table will end their series? I wonder if it's going to be 3 to 4 episodes. So, and I don't think there's an end to the series. I think... you know, even now, there's a danger of forgetting about the other tables and kind of who the other tables are a little bit, right? So I feel like 2 episodes with the Soldiers is a good moment to switch over to the Seekers. That's like 5... I mean, we're looking at, what, 6 to 7 hours of content? If you move every 2 episodes from table to table, I think that's pretty healthy. If it's 3 episodes, I think that's a lot. Potentially, right? I think they had a good ending point for the Soldiers Table. I think 4 is too much before you switch to a different table. That's my opinion. And I think they're going to keep on having these kind of prequel flashback moments to remind you who these characters are, give you a little bit more insight, and again, play with kind of dramatic irony. Yeah, I'm hoping we go back to the Schemers table and see what they're up to. Yeah, exactly. So if they do more than 4, we're getting into Christmas break territory, right? For per table, it gets a little wild, and I feel like plots can get forgotten potentially. So I think a 2 episode, 2 to 3 episodes, they dance between the tables. That's what I would do. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see next week if we're still with the Soldiers Table. Could definitely, but I think we might switch by next week. Yeah, maybe they want to complete that arc of Gain to Sid, so that could be true. Maybe during the end of the month break as well. Yeah, they might have gotten this timed out and figured out. Just going to check a few things real quick, so bear with me. That was very loud. I don't know where that came from. So we're also streaming on TikTok. So anyone who's on TikTok, we got 1 viewer on TikTok. We've got 3 viewers on TikTok. I feel like I've abandoned them. Yeah. Got 675 likes somehow. I don't know if that's on my channel or what. Yeah, hello, everybody. Yeah. Yeah, TikTok Live's really strange. It's something we're testing out. And we're also streaming on YouTube Shorts as well. I'm curious if we've got anyone from YouTube Shorts. I heard a big chime noise and didn't really get any insight into where it was coming from. So that was pretty strange. Thank you for everyone for joining chat. I suspect we're getting some people now. It's like 1 o'clock. Is the stream still happening on Twitch right now? I don't know if I reached the super chat goal. Actually, the super chat goal seems not to have moved for some reason. That's really weird. Oh, the goal ended. There was a timer. I'll start it again. check. Weird. Yeah, we're figuring this out together. I don't think it'll allow me to do another goal. That's so strange. Oh, so strange. Yeah, I'll continue to learn about super chats. Absolutely bizarre. So the weird thing, full disclosure, I can't even see any of the choices. So, so there's something wrong with the super chats on my end because I can't adjust anything other than the goal. I don't actually see anything else. It's totally bizarre. So I can't control the number, the color, anything like that. So something's busted on the YouTube side of things. I'm glad we got the lag figured out for sure. Yes, the first episode of the Mighty Nine is on the Prime channel, and I'll have a lot more on the Mighty Nine coming up next week. Yeah, I just created the goal again. We'll see if that works, but what's funny is I can't adjust the goal. It's just totally random. Woo! Thank you for the $5. It was a super chat or a gift. It was something. It's wild. Yeah, it's on our end right now. YouTube doesn't allow us to adjust anything and even see the numerical value. So it's totally busted. Something's totally wrong. I don't know what it is, but it's wild. It's hard being a creator when everything things don't always work the way they should. It's pretty wild. Is anyone watching this on YouTube Shorts? I'm curious. Well, there wasn't the choices before because there was no goal, so that's what was weird. So even before the stream started, I couldn't choose anything. I did a couple of test streams. Thank you again, Daniel Powell. You mentioned in the pre-show that you have a theory crafted an insert character for Critical Role. Oh, a theory crafted a character to insert in Critical Role. Campaign 4, did you have other characters for 1 and 2? Do you have one yet for 4? Oh, so no, I was theory crafting one for Campaign 4 that was like kind of a skill, what they call a skill monkey, rogue soul knife, reborn, who basically is gonna kill it with persuasion and deception checks. I thought would be really effective. The other thing, yeah, it's not counting down. I think it's just busted in the YouTube system. Interesting. So yeah, so I've got a couple of theory crafted characters for that. I think a really quirky characters really. Oh, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I think I just heard TikTok go off as well. You mentioned in the pre-show that you have a theory. Yep, thanks for the $5 super chat. Oh, Todd Kenrick, was there a specific money value you were aiming for with the goal? No, I didn't apply one. I don't think you do apply one. I don't think you do that. But again, like I can't adjust it right now. You used to be able to. Like a week ago it worked. And now it's completely busted. I've done multiple test streams and it's been broken. So it's a really weird thing right now. So for the Mighty Nine, I'd have a way more dramatic, dark character. I'd probably I love the comedic. I think Mighty Nine is so dark and so much trauma I think it really lends itself to warlocks. Vengeance Paladin would very easily fit into a world of the Mighty Nine. What else would fit? Because I do like Jester being comedic relief kind of as a trickery domain cleric. You really need that, but you only need one character to really be that character. Certainly Not the Brave is also really funny, but the alcoholism of Not is pretty dark and intense as well. So, so for the Mighty Nine, I think Not's an arcane trickster. Pretty thieving oriented as well. I'd really have to think about the Mighty Nine. Something, I mean, everyone's so dark. I've always had this character in mind that had their well, I mean, to agree, this is what happened to Caleb. Caleb had his magic taken from him. I've done multiple characters like that. I feel like Hell's Bells was also pretty dark, actually. Yeah, I'll have to think on that for the other campaigns. That's something I would have to think about. I think Valor Bard would work well in this campaign right now for Campaign 4. Todd Kenrick, do you think the character will throw a monkey wrench into the table's path by sticking to the character build? Do you think the character... Oh, yeah. It's a good point. You know, you feel like someone eventually, because we've seen this with other campaigns where the party breaks apart because of their belief or their desire to do something very specific. Oh, hi, Aabria. So I'm not quite sure where we might end up with that. Who would break the party apart? Julien seems too obvious. I think the breaking point lies in Hal and Thaisha's son. And if that son is threatened, that will be a breaking part for the group. That will be too far of a sacrifice to make for the greater good. I think Teor trying to find his brother. I think that is something that could break the party apart. Where like this is this far but no further. I can't make this sacrifice of the group. I think that's all possible. Especially when it comes to family, I think things could go pop off and go too far. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I've often wondered bard spellcasting equals what? How is the gap filled? How do you mean? So bards, Valor bards in particular, are good at everything. So they you kind of have a half proficiency in every single skill. You have expertise. You have magical abilities, and as a Valor bard, you have 2 attacks. At 6th level, you start having 2 attacks per turn, or you can replace one of those attacks with a cantrip. You're good at everything. You're not necessarily Nova damage, but there's a new Radiant spell, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but you can do a sizable amount of damage using this particular spell, and also doing weapon attacks. When I think about Valor Bards, I think about Scalds. I don't think about singing. I think about Blade Singer Wizards in the same way of you're using your blade to cut through the fabric of reality to create and sling spells. So I think of a Valor Bard as either having a giant weird Viking drum or a spear that they're just pounding into the ground like a haka. You know, having like a kind of a haka of one basically. Before sporting events and Maori tribes and stuff like that. You've certainly seen that in the Two Towers, because a lot of people who were actually of Maori descent that were actually hired to play all these Urukai before the Two Towers, and all those stunt performers who were playing Urukai were freezing and cold, and to stay warm they started doing a haka, and that's actually how that terrifying moment of all the Urukai outside of of the keep actually happened. It was pretty wild, actually. So I'm getting notifications either from TikTok or somewhere else, but I'm not seeing anything in chat, so I don't know what's going on or if it's delayed. It's so weird. So yeah, we're just talking about, for those who are on TikTok, hello from Spain. We've got, I wish I could combine all the chats into one spot. It says I only have 3 viewers, but I'm getting a lot of messages from TikTok for some reason. So I appreciate everyone on TikTok. My wife Megan really wanted me to try out TikTok, and so I'm doing it. If you're a bard but don't have spellcasting, all bards have spellcasting, so I'm not quite sure what that means, Alan. What fills the gap? We haven't... Have we seen Hal cast a spell? I think we have. Oh, good to know. Yeah, it's an experiment for sure. Just testing things out. But I recently had a discussion about what some of the most powerful classes and subclasses in the game are. Oh, I know exactly what I'd play for campaign 1 of Vox Machina. I'd play a wild magic sorcerer for sure. Yeah, for Vox Machina, I think that would fit very well. I think it could be funny and humorous in the Mighty Nine campaign. But mostly the comedic relief is being handled by, Not the Brave, and also playing a trickery demanding cleric in the manifestation of Jester. So you don't necessarily need that that comedic gap filled. For Bell's Hells, I'm not sure. That's something I'm gonna have to think about at length. So this is the later part of the stream, everybody, where we're just kind of like chatting. I've gone through the whole recap. A lot happened in that previous episode. If you have questions and you've just joined chat, be sure to like reach out and ask. Mighty Nine, a third cleric. Like the Mighty Nine needs more cleric. I mean, maybe they do need more clerics. Yeah. Hal did use healing. That's right. He used healing word and aid. Also, Valor Bards are fantastic at buffing, so that you can give someone Bardic Inspiration. They can use that Bardic Inspiration either to enhance their attacks or also use that Bardic Inspiration to up their armor class. It's invaluable. So Valor Bards are great for buffing the party. They're really good at combat. They're good with damage. Certainly, I think better than rogues, actually, with the right spell. And they're skill monkeys on top of everything else. So Valor Bards kind of are good also party faces. In terms of Oops All Things, Oops All Clerics is valid. Oops All Warlocks is definitely valid. I've done a Oops All Warlocks game. It was really funny. Especially when you have so many people with different competing creatures that they have made packs with. It's pretty hilarious. So all Warlocks games are fun. I did a Petty Paladins game that was hilarious because every paladin thinks they're righteous and has their own oath. And so for all of them to have an oath that they believe in strongly that's different than each other's creates this really kind of funny friction. And then ended up being a really petty game. And I think Petty Paladins is hilarious. There's not a lot of subclasses that you can... I mean, not a lot of classes you can do Oops All of. So you can do all Clerics. You can do all Warlocks. Hard to do all Wizards. Do you think Wick is a god, or what was just a Shambling Mound's interpretation of what it was seeing in Wick? So I have a good answer for this. So the whole thing with the Wickander, and we've seen this with, again, the sword I mentioned previously. This is the little tiny toy sword that the gnome gave his child. He suffused it with magic, and normally his magic fades over a certain amount of time. But he believes that his child's belief in that sword to fight off nightmares made it permanent. And this is an example at the top of the episode of belief making something so. That they believed the sword was magical, that the sword would continue to be magical, and therefore it was. So Wickander is absolutely aware that his religion is fake, that they've been mining blood from his grandfather, that the blood of his grandfather in his father has warped his father and turned him also into this kind of monstrous being with wings. And now we see signs that Wickander will be influenced by this bloodline as well. So Wickander, over time, will increasingly represent being an Azumar, a celestial creature. And on top of that, I'm just calling it, he's definitely a divine soul sorcerer. It'd be weird if he wasn't. So I think part of the manifestation of his powers, and also as an Azumar, but also as a divine soul sorcerer, will also be because even though he knows his religion is fake, he himself believes in that religion or what it represents anyways. And so I think he will continue to get more and more followers. Either it's a Shambling Mound or other fairies or people along the road. As he heals people, the moment he resurrects someone, if that's on the table, if that ends up happening, people are going to freak out as well. So he may gain his powers through faith, just like the gods did. And if Wickander can become a god or gain godlike abilities over the next 3 years from people believing in him, and if magical items can manifest by people believing in them, then that also means that the gods themselves maybe were not gods at any point. They were mortals that people believed in enough to give them powers. And that's why they were not easy, but that's why they were able to overthrow them. So that's my theory. It's a long-winded theory. Now, it could be kind of also a Targaryen issue of slowly the bloodline that Wickander has will drive him crazy. You know, we saw that. We know this thing about Celestials. The moment the gods disappeared, Celestials became feral beasts. They became monsters. And they know that these Celestials did not exist until the gods brought them into the universe, maybe from another location. So, the fact that his grandfather is a Celestial, then went feral, the moment the gods died, and that blood exists in his own father, who is not okay. When does this start happening to Wickander? As Wickander becomes more powerful, will Wickander himself become less and less human? More feral? Will some type of madness kind of ensue for Wickander? There's a lot that can be happening for Wickander. Wickander could be the chosen one, but, you know, in any fantasy trope, you know, that tends to go bad. Darth Vader, not doing great. Checking on chat. Oh, weird. I just lost my ability to see how many people are in chat. YouTube is a hoot today. What is going on? That's so weird. Okay. Yep, just making some adjustments. All right, there he goes. Man, YouTube's being weird today. Neo did do okay, but also that's like the 7th Neo they had, right? So multiple, spoiler alert if you've not watched the end of the Matrix trilogy, but that's not the first Neo. Neo had several tries at destroying or overcoming or finding a truce with machines, and did not do so. So, Neo is like, how many Neos had there been? Like 30? I mean, we don't know how many Neos existed before Neo actually did the right thing, but it was quite a lot. Thank you again, everyone, for joining chat. I think we might wind down a little bit. Is anyone coming from the live stream from Twitch? Is that still happening? It's 1:23, so I don't think so. I'm trying to check on one other thing right now. Yeah, I think the biggest questions we still have, and it's easy to get hyper focused on, is Wakander, the Wakander of everything. Because we still, though we got a lot of answers, a lot of things that I suspected all along about him being a divine soul sorcerer, about him being a sorcerer, about him being an Asmar. We had a bunch of indications of that from almost the beginning. The way his powers are manifesting still call into question is it his blood? Or is it in fact the faith? Or is it some weird alchemy of both? We don't know. And we're still not entirely sure what the whole deal with shadow, cutting up people's shadows is about, and how demons are inserted into the world. There's a lot more going on there as well. Do we know what other subclasses were revealed? So, across the board on the Critical Role website, they did change almost all of the class designations for all the campaigns, except for, in the case of Rogue, Fighter, and Bard. I think those all stayed the same, but almost everything else was changed for lore purposes. That said, we know for a fact that Mercer is playing a Divination Wizard. Again, Divine Soul Sorcerer for Wakander, Beastmaster, Ranger. Although it was odd that Robbie mentioned being a rogue instead of a ranger. I think he might have misspoke. Thimble, I think, is probably an assassin or straight up thief. But a couple of subclasses were also invented for this game. We don't know what subclasses were invented. I still suspect Octus is a straight up necromancer. Sounds like Tyranny is a Pact of the Fiend warlock with Pact of the Blade. So I think Wick is going to have constant twists. I think Wick is one to watch. The whole Wakander, the people have the most universe breaking plotline right now is Whitney Moore playing Tyranny and Wakander played by Sam Riegel. I think what they do can break the world. Yeah, I feel like Robbie just kind of, either he's a rogue and a ranger, or he just kind of tripped up. It happens. I make mistakes all the time. I've been doing this for a long time, and I constantly make mistakes. I also noticed Robbie also grabbed a spell that wasn't from the 2024 core rulebooks. It was actually from a third-party book. I think it was called Clue, and it was a random spell, so it felt like he had all his spells turned on for all third-party content. So it may be that I think it was me. I think I might have given Robbie access on D&D Beyond to like every single book. so it's possible that like one of the wrong spells kind of popped in there. Aabria says Wild Mage, but Aabria is clearly playing like a Circle of the Moon Druid, or a Wildfire Druid, or potentially a subclass. Wild Mage, as described, is a little, is definitely, it sounds like Wild Sorcerer. Wild Mage sounds like Wild Sorcerer. I think Wild Sorcery they were called Wild Mages at some point, but that's two totally different subclasses and classes, so. Yeah, I don't know. Silvery Barb, I wonder if he meant. Yeah, Teor changed. Anyone who was a spellcaster that was not a bard had their class changed for the purposes of lore. But Teor is a paladin. Teor used Divine Smite. And Azune is a Sorkadin, as we call them, sorcerer / paladin. Given that Robbie is so heavily attached to his pet, he's definitely a Beastmaster, and he flat out actually asked for Laura's advice because Laura played a Beastmaster rogue as well. It was pretty funny. Laura has a very good handle in the game. I mean, they all do. They play an incredible amount of D&D, but Laura has her classes and subclasses on lock. Like, she knows that stuff. And that she retains that information. She knows exactly how rangers work and can hand out advice for that stuff. It's pretty wild. Though, I mean, yeah, that's what happens when you play them so long. I mean, I know wild magic sorcerers backwards and forwards now. I did that at D&D and Castle for 3 days straight. And ask me anything about wild magic sorcery. It's kind of broken. I haven't done a mathematical breakdown, and I'm going to, about wild magic sorcery with some friends. Because the odds of hitting certain things on the wild magic sorcery table using heroic inspiration, I have an ongoing series that started to debut that is really fun about classes and builds and stuff, and so you'll see more of that. I keep on forgetting to check this, and I need to. So I actually closed down TikTok, and that's not where these sounds are coming from. I don't. Now I'm concerned. I don't know where these bell notifications are coming from, and they're very, very loud, and they're still happening. It's kind of wild. There's no evidence that they did this for IP reasons when they came to changing their classes for IP reasons, and the reason that doesn't necessarily make entire sense is you can't copyright wizard, you can't copyright sorcerer, you can't copyright. Well, they didn't change bar, but you can't copyright druid. So it feels like some kind of lore change, and honestly, I just don't know. I don't know what the reason was behind it. They did it for all the campaigns. I think it is haunted because I don't know. I'm getting all these kind of silent notifications. I can turn on my desktop audio, but I think you'll hear me doubled up in my audio. So, yes, I'm haunted. Again, if you want to support streams like this, it really helps, especially for sponsors. If you click on the sponsored links with Geppetto maps and start playing. Also, start playing, you get a free $10 towards your next game. So it's really helpful for you. So there's definitely an incentive. If you want to learn Daggerheart or D&D, I highly recommend it. You can just pop into a game and choose your level, the type of game you want to play, start playing. I believe it's the only game in town these days in terms of, finding groups, and it's also really huge. So lots of Dungeon Masters and games to choose from. Yeah, I think it is weird. I think Azune is hiding the sorcerer side of his abilities a little bit. So I think he's a paladin that maybe isn't entirely aware of his sorceress magic. That might be what we're seeing here. when it comes to Azune and Azune's ability with sorcery. Also, high level smites. So you get those spell slots. You take a paladin dip. You can start smiting. You go full sorcerer. You get a lot more spell slots to work with at higher level to dish out some major damage for sure. I'm so happy that we figured out all the issues with streaming. Go ahead and test something else. Keep on sending me messages in chat and I will respond. I believe the live stream's done, right? Just checking. And nope, still going. Still going strong. It's wild. It was a long episode. What did it go for 5 hours last night? Right? With a break? I think it was like 5 hours. I'm trying to find any evidence I'm actually streaming on YouTube Shorts. And I can't find it. It's a really... Yeah, I'm pretty sure Murray's getting fired from the school 100%. I think this is why I'm excited for the Schemers table. I think it's going to be really fun. And I love Murray's interaction with Bolaire. Back and forth. So you saw me on YouTube Shorts. Interesting, because it doesn't show up on any of my back-end stuff. So just doing a little troubleshooting. Okay. Sorry for the loud typing. Thank you for putting up with me right now. That is cool that all the members are showing up on the front page. I like that. So if I go to Shorts, I don't see myself. That's so weird. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think... Oh. So the multi-stream, I can see people in YouTube Shorts. You know what? I don't multi-class. It's an interesting comment. I don't multi-class that often anymore, to be completely honest. I like going straight with one class. I don't know. I guess I optimize one too many builds using classes and subclasses and multi-classing. And it almost... Sometimes you can make a character so functional and so good at what they do that it's not fun anymore. That's happened to me multiple times because I kind of obsess about making something mechanically sound. And then I'll play it and I'll find it really boring. Especially if you're a one-trick pony. So I didn't like the double smiting of paladins, multi-classing. I hate that stuff. I did make a paladin that could smite and do Nova damage. And I found it, after the first 2 times, super unfun because it's just OP. I'm glad they fixed it because I know some people find that stuff really fun. I just didn't find it fun. Oh, cool. Hey Todd, I just came here from your TikTok stream. Thank you. I don't know it's beeping. It's stream chat. But it's not telling me what it's getting in stream chat. So maybe, I don't know if it's pulling chat from TikTok or YouTube Shorts. It's hard to tell. So we've confirmed that I am on YouTube Shorts, only for some reason, magically, I'm the only one who can't see it. That's pretty wild. Yeah, I like storytelling heavy campaigns. I mean, I love combat. I just don't want to be so good at combat that kind of nullifies the scary factor of everything. If that makes sense. Ooh, so Arcane Archer, I'm really happy with the changes that they've made to the Arcane Archer. So I've yet to confirm that 100% I'm on YouTube Shorts. But YouTube is telling me I'm on YouTube Shorts, but I can't see it. Have people been seeing ads? Yeah, I'm just trying to confirm a couple of things because I'm seeing weird stuff on my end. Has anyone seen ads run as well? Oh, I need to play Dispatch. I don't know if Dispatch is really a streaming game because you're kind of ruining the narrative. And I played the demo of Dispatch and it was amazing. And Travis can't stop talking about how amazing that team is and what a great experience. Gotcha. Yeah, I need to go through the playthrough of Dispatch. Okay, well, I've turned ads back on. I don't know how I got turned off, but oof, that means I haven't been monetized this entire time. That's pretty rough. You had to stream. YouTube autoplayed your stream while you were asleep, and you had to dream the cop pulling you over to talk about D&D. That's pretty wild. I think we'll wrap it up, and we'll see. We'll see when we wrap it up. I'm happy just hanging out and talking right now. Dispatch has features that makes it stream friendly, but aren't you like ruining the narrative for people? I wonder. Well, ads should be turned on now. I don't know why YouTube turned it off. Still learning. Yeah, YouTube's also telling me that I'm streaming on Shorts, and I don't see any evidence of that. It's totally bizarre. Oh, okay. Well, I may try streaming Dispatch. Yeah, I think I am. I really like streaming. I like kind of the live interaction with folks. I think it's. I'm trapped at home. I'm unemployed, so streaming is a much needed socialization for someone like me right now. So. Yeah, fair enough. They should. Yeah, people shouldn't be watching a stream for Dispatch. I've got 69 likes on the Shorts site. Can you drop? Well, no, you can't drop links in here. That's so weird that I don't have access to my own live stream on Shorts. That's completely wild. I am still thinking about running a Daggerheart game. I just have to think about who I'm going to... who would be in the cast, and that's difficult. So I am thinking about streaming Daggerheart, but you do want to make sure everyone gets paid. It's kind of super important. Just checking a couple of things. Do. Here's something. Reply to me, for those that have a link to the shorts feed, if you don't mind, you'd be doing me a solid. Reply to my Twitter account with the YouTube Shorts link. That would be fantastic. If you reply to the post about this live stream, that way I can see the link. Yeah, it's super experimental. So it's well, I mean, it turned off my ads. So for like the last hour and a half, other than people doing super chats, I've made no revenue, which is fine. Hey, you got ad-free experience, right? Like that's great. That's great for everybody here. A little horrifying for me, but that's what happens when you're a one-man band and YouTube suddenly shuts something off that you always have on. So yeah, we'll get that fixed. Yeah, it's like my default as well, so it's wild that it just turns it off once in a while. That's so annoying. What else do we got? So, oh, thank you so much. We got a new badge member rolling with advantage. I think the live stream's still happening. So let's see, it's 5 hours. The Critical Role live stream is 5 hours. So that brings us to, where are we at right now? We're at, started at, what, 9? It's about 5 hours. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Daniel Powell. make up for a few of your missed ads, brother. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I had a bad feeling because I got a pop-up suddenly. YouTube's like, oh, did you want to monetize this live stream? I'm like, yeah, I did. Why was that shut off? Like, that's pretty wild. Why would you do that to me? Welcome to YouTube, everybody. Oh, thank you so much, Kimbrel, for sending the gift memberships to everybody. That's huge. Sorry, I didn't mean to make a pity party of not being monetized. That's my own fault. I do have a checklist of stuff. It's just this is the first time we're streaming on TikTok, streaming on YouTube Shorts, and streaming on YouTube. It's an experiment. And then apparently also scheduling I haven't done through Streamlabs. And then so what you're going to find if you are ever a YouTuber or a streamer is things go wrong, and they can go wrong often. And it can be a shocking thing. Things don't always go right. I mean, you know that about your own lives. So imagine, especially if you're not a technical person, and I still don't think I am. I certainly had to learn how to use like Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop, Streamlabs, Twitch, all this stuff. Like, I wouldn't say that I was a natural fit for that other than video editing. But Todd Kendrick, just be warmed and filled by our love for you. It's very kind of you. Critters are the best, I do have to say. Every time I go to a convention and I run into critters, I'm kind of overwhelmed by the kindness. And yeah. I remember I went to C2E2 to interview cosplayers for Critical Role, and I had such a great time. Do I need to be on YouTube and YouTube Shorts? No, I just I think the vertical format is something people really need to embrace. I mean, they have embraced it. It's just I want to try new things. I want to innovate. I want to be on the cutting edge of what people are doing, and to ignore the fact that you can live stream on YouTube Shorts and also YouTube Live, blah, blah, blah. Is at your peril. You always need to be, especially as you get older, you have to constantly be, because when you're younger, you're learning new things, but you're forced to because there was nothing before. As you get older, you can decide not to learn new things, and I always find that horrific. Like, I don't understand people who, I have people, friends in my life, and even family members sometimes, they don't want to play new video games, or they don't want to be on new social platforms, or they don't want to watch new movies, or listen to new music, or watch new music videos, and I cannot exist that way. I don't have, I mean, I'll listen to music that I listened to when I was a little kid, or I was in high school and stuff like that, right? Like, I will do that, but not exclusively, not even remotely. I get bored. You can only listen to the same old shit so many times, but I know so many people who get locked in to an album that they've heard 8 billion times and never get tired of it. And I don't have associations like that necessarily. Yeah, being neurospicy. Yeah, I am. I think everyone knows I'm neurospicy. I think everyone's kind of figured that out a long time ago. I'll be completely honest. I don't think they still know what I am. But as my wife says, I am a thing. So, in a nice way. It's just that my mind. What's the phrase from Dune in the 1980s? My mind moves in strange directions, I guess. I'm gonna check if anyone added me on Twitter or replied, because I'm curious. And if everyone's good just to hang out and talk, again, if people have more questions about the episode or about the entire campaign on the whole, or the interviews I did with the Critical Role cast, feel free to do so. I had a really great time with the Critical Role cast, and boy, those people have been nothing but kind over the years. I have noticed, and I don't know all of you how you found me on YouTube and my interviews and my content that I've been making. But I was actually talking to some folks from the cast about like I've only interviewed Matt and all of them only a certain amount of times, but after the layoff, it was Critters that came to support me the most, and lots of hardcore D&D fans as well. But I was surprised about the number of Critical Role fans that remembered me interviewing cosplayers, interviewing the Critical Role cast. But it wasn't like we did that weekly or anything. But apparently, it kind of stuck with folks over the years. Did I miss any super chats? I think sent Todd 5 gift memberships. Thank you, Kimbrel, again, by the way, for that. That was huge of you. I really appreciate it. Daniel Powell, Todd Kenrick, no spoilers, but have you seen the full M9 season 1? So, yes. And I will be reviewing the full episode. I don't think I can tell you when. But you're going to find out some stuff. You're going to find out my opinions about the entire season of the Mighty Nine. And then I will also release spoiler reviews. So I'll have a non-spoiler review of the Mighty Nine coming up soon of the entire season. And then I will have a spoiler review of individual episodes as well. So tune in soon. And yeah, I can't talk about the stuff. We got some stuff happening. We got some stuff cooking. That's all I can say. I don't want to ruin anything. Just checking one. I just got a weird text message. Oh, that's tomorrow. That's great. Ugh. All right, I'm back. Apologize for the delay. Yeah, for those that don't know, yeah, I am one of the founding members of D&D Beyond, and I can disclose this. D&D Beyond had a little bit of a perception problem. I was working at Amazon making comedy videos about bidets. I'm not joking. I was unemployed. I had been laid off from NBC News. I was the editor-in-chief of video game coverage at NBC News. Got laid off. This is the same time that things like G4 took a hit. People at G4 were laid off before me, and Comcast owned them, and then I got laid off. And I made the company quite a bit of money covering nerd culture and video games. And so when I got laid off, I started covering D&D, and that's how I accidentally ran into Matt Mercer at Emerald City Comic Con. And we decided to do an interview, and I met Matt, and we just kind of hit it off during that interview, and we took this weird prom photo. But like, I wasn't really, 1,000% aware of the scope, the width and breadth of Critical Role. I had seen episodes. They seemed like lovely people. We had mutual friends or acquaintances like Felicia Day and stuff like that. So they were always, we were in the same circles. But that's when I started covering Critical Role. I interviewed Matt, and I was just a YouTube channel. I wasn't with anybody really. And then, so we did that interview, and then we just kind of kept on doing it. And then D&D Beyond, I got laid off from Amazon, but technically Amazon owned Twitch, which owned Curse, which owned D&D Beyond. And so when I got laid off, I just moved over to D&D Beyond and was in charge of all their content, like third-party content, additional content, like the Runeterra drop that happened with Riot Games and League of Legends. That was really popular for a day. Making sure like the Blood Hunter got onto D&D Beyond. The Mighty Nine D&D Beyond theme song getting animated that Sam Riegel sang. So all that stuff. That was like that was the golden era of me at D&D Beyond. So, and I conducted interviews on the second to the last day of Campaign 1, where everything popped off. and it was lots of tears for everyone. It was such an intense experience to because there's kind of like the cool down final episode of campaign 1, if you remember, and then there's the episode right before them where everything pops off and folks die. So I was in the intense one, and people coming out of that room just soaked. Just it was just such an intense role-playing experience. It was wild. And I interviewed everybody right before the game, and there were tears, man. It's a hard thing to let go of after you've been playing a game for 3 years. Certainly not all of that was live streamed, but because they joined the campaign halfway through. But it was a lot. It was a hell of a moment to capture. I'm really proud of those interviews I did with Matt, especially capturing such an intense period of Critical Role's life. To like be a journalist in that capacity was really fun. It meant a lot to me, and those people were so lovely and nice and kind. So yes, because the perfect warlock, somehow perfect warlock became my mantle because of the song. I started referring to myself as the perfect warlock. I love warlocks. I love them. I love Pact of the Blade. Though Pact of the Blade now, so there's a couple of things about Warlock Pact of the Blade that's really fun because you're using your charisma to actually wield the weapon. It's a good excuse to have a great sword or a sword that is oversized and be skinny. So you could look like Cloud from Final Fantasy. You have this oversized sword and it's hilarious. And that's kind of what I envisioned Avron as. That's a fun thing about that. Yeah, I love those interviews. I need to make a playlist. I think I can make playlists on YouTube where everyone can see all of the work I did. And I've produced a bunch of live play shows. Some of the most popular ones in D&D history, actually. So I'm not doing my own horn, but I did the Lego D&D game I produced, where Anjali actually is the dungeon master, and G&D is in that, and that was really fun. I'm really proud of that. I produced the 3 Baldur's Gate 3 live games. The Gen Con game where Brennan was a player. Aabria was a dungeon master. Anjali was there as a player. And then we had Neil Newbon as Asterion. We had Sam Bayart as Karlak, and that got 1.5 million views. And then went on after that to do MCM London, which was great. Wrote the plot line for that as well. So like the dragon reveals were me, though. So I write like a rudimentary summary of what these live play shows are going to be, and then people like Aabria make it awesome. For the MCM London game, I recommend also check out because you'll see all of the characters become vampires. Asterion's already a vampire, and he has to babysit them. It's wild. I'm really proud of that plot line. So putting Asterion into a place of having to be responsible for everyone around him is wild. I'm going to go ahead and ask, can PLC ads? So I'm really proud of that show in MCM London. And then we did Magic Con, which got another 1 million views and counting. And that game was wild. And we got Aabria to come back as Dungeon Master, and such a high energy, intense, wild, crazy game. And that year, D&D, like my D&D interviews included, in 2024, I got 150 million views on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of it. 150 million, record for D&D. Just crazy amount of numbers. And the only reason I can share that is because you can count them. You can go to Instagram and count the number of views. You can go to YouTube and count the number of views, which I've done. Because it's good resume building material. 150 million views is more than most video game channels have ever gotten. So it's wild that we hit numbers like that. And that is all because of really good video strategy and really talented, wonderful human beings to work with. So that's my big rant. Hire me. Somebody hire me. And then even before I was laid off, I think we had we almost hit like 50% of those views, or 60 or even 70% of 150 million before I got laid off, which is wild. So we were at the time of my layoff, I think we're on the track to hit the same number, if not more. And again, those are all public-facing numbers. Yeah, I know it stings because, trust me, given that I have no income right now other than YouTube, and, sponsored links and stuff like that help pay for stuff. But, right now I'm just trying to pay the minimum mortgage payment. I know it sounds bleak, but it's definitely a scary time for me. But the paywall thing though is YouTube, all these services take a cut, and I love Dimension 20, and I'm happy to give them money as long as I can. Am I still going to cons? So I am going to cons. I did go to Gen Con. I went to PAX West. Full disclosure, with everything going on with the airports and everything, Philadelphia just was too expensive. Plane tickets were like $1,000. The hotel was $2,500, and I just couldn't swing it. And I've got an opportunity to collect some interviews in California that is significantly cheaper, at least, like a third cheaper. So it's better for me to go to LA to gather some interviews than it is for me to go to PAX Unplugged. And I love PAX Unplugged. So I really wanted to go, but I have to be really responsible with the money that people pledge on my Patreon, which is what allows me to get on a flight in the first place. Because for something like PAX Unplugged, I looked at it and, I wasn't going to break even. I was going to be in the hole. So if I went to PAX Unplugged, I wouldn't make enough money off of it. I'd lose money, and money is in short supply. So that's what every content creator has to look at, is you got to buy food, it's an easy thing to lose. And I actually, Brennan mentioned this, and it's a very important point on the Last Meal YouTube channel. And the real darkness is when things are going well, the people who think that it's kind of like by divine right instead of luck, that way lies evil. And I think a lot of people sometimes, when things are going well, and I'm not saying people don't deserve things to go well, absolutely, but people need to acknowledge that's luck. And the people who are having a hard time often have bad luck too. It's not just because of oops, well, they deserved it. That's not how life works. I didn't deserve to lose my job. And look, all the people being laid off right now, they don't deserve that. So it's scary stuff. Thank you for all the kind words. I see them, people saying it, seasoned professional, and that's very lovely. Yeah, hopefully I find a place to hang my hat. But yeah, so when Critical Role has a paywall, I don't begrudge them. So many people are trying to, get money. Even Patreon, right? Patreon takes a cut. Kickstarter takes a cut. Everyone takes a cut. It's so hard to everyone be in the business of being Kickstarter, be in the business of actually being Patreon and getting money. Or YouTube, because that's passive income for them. All we have to do is create content, and they're making money. What would I want to do? I love what I'm doing now. I like creating I like creating videos. I like streaming. I like interviewing people. I'm doing what I love right now. So that's why I'm doing job-wise. I love interviewing the Critical Role cast. I really love Daggerheart. I think there's a lot of innovation happening there. I like being the editor-in-chief of things. That's where my expertise lies. So, would I keep on going freelance? You have to do the responsible thing. If I find a full-time job that I don't absolutely monstrously hate, I'm going to take it and still try to do this. But the job market is really terrible right now. So, Yeah, there's always this perception of success. It's funny. I got laid off, and a bunch of people said, Todd's gonna be fine. I'm like, don't say that. You don't know. I mean, it's good to be positive, and that's kind, but like, oof, it doesn't always go that way. But what I'm doing is what I love doing. What I hope is a company just ends up hiring me to do it. So there's a couple of things I really love. The Dimeo game is really fun. Battle marked. If you haven't played that, do it. It feels like D&D being around a tabletop. It's a good little hit of D&D. I would love working for Larian as well. That's another great game, Baldur's Gate 3, and everything they do I think is fantastic. I've had really positive experience with Riot Games. Extremely positive experiences with Darrington Press and Critical Role. And I love the D&D design team that's still at Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering. So I think those people are wildly talented. I used to interview folks and actors. Like, I interviewed Nathan Fillion, and I'm like, oh, do you only go for nerdy roles? And he's like, dude, I don't choose my roles. Like, he got a role on Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the final season, and then he got a role on Firefly, and then he became kind of known as the nerdy guy, and then he got a role in Halo, and then he got a role here, and he got nerdy thing after nerdy thing after nerdy thing, and eventually he got a cop show and some other stuff, and then he's back to doing Superman and stuff like that. So he told me, he's like, I don't choose to go for nerdy roles. There's a myth that actors have a choice, really. You just want to work, and if people see you in that light and that this is what you do, that's kind of how it is. Yeah, they always kind of recommend, some people say that you should always pretend like everything's going great and be super positive, and I am being positive. You can be positive and be honest about how things are going. And sometimes that's a little too raw for people to experience, but boy, we live in a world, look at all the layoffs that have happened. There has to be people in chat right now that have been laid off. It is a wild time to be alive. People are trying to get rid of food stamps and everything else. It's a scary time. So I feel the fear. Especially, people forget, a lot of people don't come from rich families, or families with like disposable income, or families that can help you. A lot of families, there is no savings. People are living paycheck to paycheck, and so there's no safety net. And I think what I find often is people who are middle class or upper class and grew up that way forget, you don't understand how quickly things can fall apart if you don't have a support system. So people turn a blind eye to that way too often in this, I think in any country, really. So anyways, we're talking about Critical Role. We just went on a weird rant. I apologize, everybody. Oh, by the way, are people seeing ads now? Sorry. What a weird segue. Oh, God. What a horrible time to lose your job in the middle of COVID. God, what? I lost my mind during COVID. I'm so sorry, Kat. What else? Yeah, I mean, I lived in a building. This was years ago. I was living in Cincinnati, and my building was set on fire by somebody, and it became condemned. And so I still lived in my old apartment, yet they were charging me rent for a condemned building, and it was pretty wild because windows were broken, all this other stuff, and people just moved in. It was wild. Yeah, about 125 people watching. It's a little delayed on my update. Oh, I forgot to check Twitter if someone actually sent me the link. It's 2:12. I think Critical Role should be done. You've not seen any ads? It says they're on. Are you like a YouTube Premiere member or something? I'm using a Sony A7S Mark II or Mark III. It's very good in low light, really clean. Okay, critical role's been done for a while. Perfect. Yay, you got an ad. Oh, that's brutal. To stream for an hour and not have ads on is just monstrous. That's totally wild. Oh my god. Yeah. Well, that's understandable. At least the rest of it got fixed. Full disclosure, the live streams like this actually do actually make a lot of revenue. I'm not used to streaming live as much as like creating kind of tight little video interviews and packages, but yeah. You're chatting through your phone. So I think we kind of covered everything. Oh wow! Thank you to $10 for the super chat. Hello from my cat Chonky, who has decided you're interesting to watch. It's very kind. How is your Chonky cat watching this? Thank you so much, Tiger. There's a tiger as your symbol, so. My brain is starting to melt. I don't know about everyone else's. Checking on a couple stuff. Yeah, keep on forgetting to check Twitter if someone sent me the link. So I will do that right now. Oh, no one replied to the live stream. I even got served an ad. Wild. Oh, weird. You can't leave comments while there's chat open. Interesting. I didn't even know that. Chonky sits on my desk beside me and watches my screen. It's like a tiger without the R. Yeah, okay, gotcha. That's what I figured. Yeah, I have no idea how you find shorts live. That's totally wild. I don't know what's going on. Well, thank you so much, Tig or Tiger, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate it. I think we're winding down. I think we've definitely winded down. Too bad about not being monetized, but hopefully this video does well long term. We'll see. Any other theories before we go? Let me check. Just checking one thing real quick. You are not talking about Mighty 9 right now. No, I will be next week for reasons. So, going to be a little bit of delay on that. I'll start talking about Mighty Nine next week. How about that? Oh, I didn't think about that. I could live stream them. Mighty Nine. I have to be very careful not to spoil things. So I may have to. I'll either live stream it or I'll do a kind of a polished overview. So I'll be careful about that. I was determined to find you live. I appreciate that. You finally got me. Plot twist. I am in the M9. Yeah, they did some retroactive stuff, and I'm actually in the cast. It's crazy. No, that would be amazing. I would just be like a kobold or a rat with a really horrible sounding squeak sound. That would be my contribution to the Mighty Nine. What was the average? I think the average of people watching the Twitch streams around, what, 2,000 people the day after Critical Role? So most people are consuming it Thursday, and then they're going off to, maybe they're watching the VOD. Oh, you're determined to find the short live? I'm looking at the vertical output right now, and I have no evidence that it exists. People have told me they found me through YouTube Shorts, and I don't know that that's true. Let me check again. So I'm looking at it. It says it's dual streaming. I'm automatically creating a dual stream for YouTube Shorts. I'm scheduling the posts now on YouTube, and I'll continue to do so using Streamlabs. So you'll see kind of a notification ahead of time moving forward. You can go live on Shorts, but like I see this is what's driving everyone nuts in chat right now. I know I'm looking at my stream output. I could take like a screen grab, and it's wild that there's no evidence that it's working. Yeah, so you've seen my Shorts, but right now I should be live on Shorts. That's the confusing thing. Looking it up right now. Sorry for the brief silence. I'm also determined to figure out where this live stream is going. I don't know if I've ever seen a YouTube Shorts live. Have you? I think this is our investigation portion of the stream. I literally cannot remember ever seeing a live stream on YouTube Shorts. Ever. That's going to drive me up the wall. And I'm wondering if there's going to be any evidence that this live stream ever happened on YouTube Shorts once we end it. There's no YouTube Shorts live category that I'm aware of, right? Yeah, I've never seen a live short. No one ever sent me a link. I asked folks if they found YouTube Shorts live, a link to the Shorts version in YouTube Shorts to send it my way, but I haven't seen anyone send me a link on Twitter. Yeah, it's a whole thing they rolled out, and apparently it just doesn't work, and also apparently turned off my ads. So, I don't know. Much to do about nothing, I guess. I'm also streaming on TikTok at the same time. I know that's working. A Shorts Live lives in the Live tab. Yeah, so I went to the Live tab. Well, so that's the wild thing. If you go to my channel and you go to live, you just see this stream. You don't see anything else. But maybe if you're only on mobile... God, that's so weird. I have to know. They're not making this easy, folks. Yep, no evidence. Well. Yeah, I don't have it on desktop or mobile. And I have a multi-stream of both chats, but that's so absolutely bonkers. It says manage dual output. I've got vertical going out right now. Wow. Just wild. Absolutely wild. Oh, got a ton of chats from TikTok apparently all of a sudden, so all of a sudden, that's so weird. Well, we're not going to figure this out today, everybody. Clearly. Well, all right. We'll figure out one day, but I don't think this is the day. I'm going to give it one more college try. Weird. Okay. I'm going to try one thing. We'll see how that goes. Wild. All right. Well, we won't worry about it now. Yep. YouTube just for those that don't know, YouTube announced that they made it so you can stream on YouTube Shorts at the same time as YouTube. Maybe they're a little confused what they really mean. So when I stream, maybe there'll be a really long YouTube Shorts that gets published. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not sure how it works. So we'll find out. I appreciate all you. I think I'm going to call it a night unless people want to keep on chatting about Critical Role. We are at 109 people right now, which is crazy. Yay, I'm actually monetized. Fantastic. All right, well, I appreciate all you. Thank you for hanging out a little extra long. But have a great day, and I will talk to all of you soon. And if we don't have any new people in chat, I don't think we have anyone new. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. But yeah, I'll look into maybe playing some Dispatch. Maybe we'll do like a 5-hour stream on Fridays. We'll start with a Critical Role breakdown and maybe stream some Dispatch and a bunch of other stuff. So, all right, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for the super chats. That has absolutely saved me. I really appreciate it, and thank you for the gifts and also giving the subs out to folks. That's been so helpful. Thank you, all of you, for being so very kind. I want to shout out everyone. Thank you, Alan Wilkinson. Thank you, Humble Gallet. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Kelly, Keeney, Kimbrell, New York Sky Blue. Thank you, Steve Comball, Streamlabs. That's me. Tales from Alexandria. I appreciate all of you. Thank you to everyone who super chat. That's a huge help. Thank you, Tigger. Big thank you to Kimbrell, Daniel Powell, Ellen, Elin. I'm murdering the names. That's as far back as it'll let me go. But thank you for all the super chats. I really appreciate all of you. All right. Have a great day. Bye.